No, I didn't mess that up. Don't talk
I
about
was
that.
gonna say, I was like, that's a weird.
Sorry, I got
That was a weird
distracted.
gap. Oh
That was
my gosh.
awkward.
Producer of the year goes right out the window in 2 seconds
What do you do?
flat. It's
Welcome,
it's off-
Cyclone
it's off the
fans, to the latest edition of the Nightcap. I'm Aiden Wyatt, joined by Matthias Schwarzkopf and Levi Stevenson. Guys, how we doing?
Still pining for football season.
I thought you were gonna say still hungover.
What would I be? What are we hung over from?
I thought that's where that was going.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
No, I am enjoying a simply spiked peach, but I gotta be honest, there's not a ton of alcohol in here.
But
It's
maybe
like
you
5%.
tied one on a Tuesday night and you're still paying for it on a Wednesday night.
No. Actually, if I'm still like recovering from anything from my damn soccer game on Monday, holy cow, have I never felt older than playing soccer with a bunch of like college kids. It's a nightmare.
Old fuck.
Yeah, that's what's become apparent is that is what I have devolved into over the last like few years is an old fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Aiden, welcome to your 30s.
Yeah,
Looking
I
forward to it.
still have a minute until then.
You do.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
let's just-
Point of
Real
the
reason
show.
why we're here.
Yeah. Now our official Houston, I don't know what the right word is. You're going to cover all of our Houston stuff. Our guy.
Houston guy. Yeah.
Houston guy. For now and forever. Dustin Renzik from the Scott and Holman Podcast. Pawdcast.
Good pronunciation on that.
Do
Appreciate
you
it.
say it like you're like from deep in the thick of Boston? Like
From
like,
Boston.
Every once in a while, just for giggles. For the most part, now we just say podcast, but we just know in our hearts that the pun is always there.
it's always in the chamber ready to go, and you're just kind of
Right here.
yeah. It's
Absolutely.
can confirm Aiden is 12. That is correct. Good job, Nate. So we brought Dustin on to talk about Houston, who actually is not on Iowa State's schedule this fall, but just to kind of talk to him, get the kind of lowdown on Houston, the school and the program and everything like that as a new member of the Big 12, and kind of get his thoughts on kind of the transition to the conference, first impressions and stuff like that, kind of just like we did with the Cincinnati Bearcats, I don't know, of last week. So, Dustin, I guess the first question is, so the Houston to the Big 12 has been rumored for a decade or more now. I mean, really since even the first time around about Houston kind of making the jump at some point. Was there ever a point where you're like, okay, this is just never going to happen, or were you like, it's going to happen? It just something needs to just make it happen.
Yeah, no, well, I think officially Houston to the Big 12 rumors started, I guess, in like 1996 when the Southwest Conference broke up, and we thought we were getting in over Baylor, and then it didn't go that way.
Right.
But no, definitely the analogy that we've used a lot, my co-host and I on the podcast, as well as I think Houston fans generally, is Charlie Brown kicking the football, and the idea that Houston after that was going to be back in a power conference again someday. It's like, I mean, we're in the Big East. Just kidding, the Big East dissolved, and it's not really a thing. And by the time we get there, it's not really, the P6 thing isn't really a thing anymore. And then, the first time around when allegedly the Burnt Orange School was gonna suddenly they were sponsoring us to get into the Big 12, and we're like, oh well, that's the one thing everyone knows about the Big 12 is that the Longhorns always get their way. And then of course everyone knows how it went with the whole dog and pony show that resulted in no one getting any invites, and then finally this time around it's legitimately happening. So it's a lot of people just talking about just wandering in the wilderness for the past basically 3 decades is kind of what this program has been, and it's been really exciting to see them finally in the last several years start to I think try to seriously position themselves to be an actual candidate for our conference membership, and now getting the invite is obviously hugely exciting. And not too many things are like 100% popular across a fan base, but I think you'd have a hard time finding anyone associated with the school that's not pretty over the moon about it.
That's the impression we got from our Cincinnati guy too. Is he just that they're really, really happy to be here finally, especially because now that the Big 12 has kind of positioned itself as probably the third best conference in the country after the SEC and the Big Ten. That it ended up being a pretty big jump for everybody for BYU and then everyone that came from the American Athletic. Where they really kind of leapfrogged a couple power conferences up to the Big 12, and that's a big step for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, certainly I think U of H fans have generally kind of been ready for any kind of invite, and certainly there's not been a shortage of rumors of, various conferences that are looking to get a foothold in Texas or this, that, or the other. But certainly I think, it's one of the biggest things that makes this so exciting for Houston fans is not only being in a Power 5 conference, and certainly, what looks like the number 3 best conference. It looks like the conference with the highest floor of any conference in football, bar none, in my opinion. And it looks like it's going to be comfortably the best men's basketball conference in the country, bar none. So
it already was, and then you just added 3.5 good programs.
yeah, no, it's pretty wild. So it's good. It's exciting all around. But I think the thing that makes it most exciting, and then this is, and kind of, if I'm being honest, somewhat resentfully, and as someone that grew up in California, I was kind of hoping for the Pac-12 invite before that whole thing fell apart. Just because I kind of wanted to give the middle finger to the Big 12 and be like, screw you guys, we don't need you. We got our other Power 5 offer. After
technically you still can. You just gotta,
right?
You just gotta live with your neighbors, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that is kind of hit for a lot of people and hit for me since it came out that this is actually happening was just, the idea of being back in a conference with, not that the other schools aren't great too, but schools like Baylor and Texas Tech and TCU and even Oklahoma State, because, Houston, one of the things that has made the Conference USA AAC days be so miserable is that we're never in a conference with any schools that anyone knows anyone that went to any of those schools, right? Other than Rice, because Rice is right here in the same city and it's a small school, but most U of H people know some Rice people.
Most of the people have met a UCF grad when they've been checking into their hotel in Orlando.
There you go. When you're visiting Walt Disney, you meet some
Hilton
UCF
manager
for sure.
University down there.
But U of H has a large hospitality school. I can't say that as like criticism because we a lot of hoteliers out there.
That's a glass house is what I've ever heard.
Right. Well, I'll slowly back away from that one, but no.
We did. To be fair, we did get that one from the Cincinnati guy, so now we've just adopted it.
We're living with it.
That's just our insult for UCF now.
It's a fair one for sure, but no, I mean, like I said, but everyone that went to UH knows people that went to Baylor, knows people that went to Texas Tech, knows people that went to TCU. Not only are you getting into a better conference, you're getting all this money, but you actually have some of these like natural rivalries back that Houston has been trying to grab a hold of for so long, and it's been hard to do from the wilderness of Conference USA and the American.
Well, I kind of want to gauge the whole fan base's views on being competitive within the Big 12. Obviously, we know the basketball team is elite and has been for some time now, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down any. And then Dana Holgerson is on his second stint in the Big 12. 3 straight bowl games under Dana. I mean, so what's the whole? Looking at it from jumping to the different conference into the Big 12, what is the viewpoint of the fans on how they will compete from, let's just start with football since that's right around the corner. I mean, we know how they're going to compete in the Big 12 in basketball. That's going to be a top team that's going to compete for the Big 12 title. But what's the scope of football right now?
Yeah, I think most people are pretty realistic with the idea that it's going to take some time. It's not going to be an overnight thing, and that certainly bears from looking at other schools like the West Virginias, the TCUs, the Utahs of the world that have made that step up. It takes a little bit of time to compete, and certainly when you've been operating on a budget that's a fraction of the budgets of the schools that you're about to go compete against and what they've had for the last several years, just the tens and hundreds of millions, however long you want to go back, just add up the money that U of H hasn't had that those schools have had. So I think most people are pretty realistic that it's going to be a little bit, of a rocky road for the first year or two. But I think it's a hard time to also kind of accept that, though, because last year was pretty disappointing for U of H fans. You were, widely picked to be the favorite in the American. A lot of people were picking Houston to be the NY6 representative from the G5 in their last year eligible. You had just really, really good NFL caliber quarterback, really, really good NFL caliber wide receiver in Clayton Tune and Tank Dell that, everyone expected were going to, just put up some gaudy numbers. And it certainly didn't help. Houston had its stud running back, Alton McCaskill, get injured before the season, missed the entire year. Had some other guys get injured as well. But it was, ultimately a pretty disappointing season. And then it's, we're coming off of the one good year, the 12 win season the year before. But other than that, the previous 2 seasons under Dana Holgerson had been very much of a, hey, we're trying to get up to speed. So the fact that he's been here for 4 seasons now, and it's been one of those 4 seasons that wasn't pretty much a bummer for most of the year. It's maybe a little bit hard to sell some people on the like, oh, hey, and also now get ready for a couple of years of, trying to transition into a tougher conference. So, I think to be realistic, I think we're going to have to give him at least 2 years in the Big 12 to kind of figure some things out. I think anyone making any judgments, unless he goes, 3-9 this year or something like that, I think he's going to get at least another year in the Big 12 to try to figure some things out. But we were fortunate enough to have him on our podcast a few weeks ago. And, I kind of asked him about, because I said, hey, you've taken a team to the Big 12 before in West Virginia. What's different this time around? And I expected him to say maybe it was going to be a little bit tougher, because I think West Virginia had more in terms of maybe facilities and fan base going for them than heading into the conference. Then, those are some areas that UVH is still working on. And he goes, honestly, it should be quicker, because, we didn't have the transfer portal, with the immediate eligibility back then. He said basically when West Virginia got brought in, basically there was like 11 months from the time that they were announced it until they were like playing Big 12 football games, where UVH had basically 2 full seasons. So, the coaching staff, Dana Holgorsen himself, has said, hey, I have no idea what to expect in year 1 in the Big 12. It's like we said, it's a conference with an insanely high floor where there just are not any gimme games, as Houston found out hosting Kansas when Kansas smacked us around. That used to be the team that you expect, okay, or at least you get the one gimme game. If you're joining the Big 12, you get Kansas.
Right.
But no, they're pretty good now too. They beat our butts pretty good last year. So I think most people are realistic that there's no Tulsas, there's no East Carolinas in this conference. So it's going to be I think a rough couple of years. And, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Dana Holgorsen is able to reshape his roster. He said to us, 75% of his roster, he thinks at this point, was recruited specifically to the Big 12. So I think within a year or two, that number becomes essentially 100%. But whether or not he can, even with all that, still be competitive in an insanely tough conference, I think is a lot to ask.
Well, the nice thing too is that you can build a Power 5 roster of players made up entirely of within an hour of Houston or whatever. So, yeah. Easily. And that's why everybody and their grandma is trying to put a foothold down in Texas, and specifically around Houston and Dallas, because those 2 metros produce a ton of college of Division I and NFL talent.
Yeah, so, it's a double-edged sword. Every coach ever says, "Oh, if I could get the 25 guys I want out of Houston, I'd win the national championship every year." It's like, okay, that's great, but also you're recruiting against every single FBS school.
You're recruiting against literally anybody that matters. Yeah. So that's like the question is, how much ground do you think Houston can gain in the Houston Metro as far as getting more top end guys now that they're in a Power 5 conference? Because like I said, we were talking to the Cincinnati guy last week, and theoretically, Cincinnati and Ohio, another fertile recruiting ground, should be able to grab some more higher end guys out of Ohio, because they're in a Power 5 conference that maybe would have just been a depth per piece at Ohio State versus trying to be a starter at Cincinnati. Do you think Houston can do something like that?
Yeah, I think certainly there's the potential is there. We've already seen it with the football program since the Big 12 announcement has happened. You've seen guys commit to U of H, 4-star guys, with a bunch of better offers. Matthew Golden was a, really, really highly recruited wide receiver, came in, had a really impressive freshman year this last year. Just within the last few weeks, Houston flipped a guy for the 2024 class, Maurice Williams, who was a safety, 4-star safety, top 150 guy, I believe, that had been committed to LSU and flipped to stay home. So, you've starting to see it happen. Just guys that you go, okay, yeah, that guy's not committing if we're playing in the American still. And we talked to a number of coaches, a number of different sports, and man, every single one of them is just like, there's this whole this whole entire pool of recruits that aren't answering your phone calls when you're in the American, that are suddenly answering your phone calls when you're in the Big 12. So, in terms of football specifically, I think there's a lot to be determined in terms of, is that going to mean, hey, you're grabbing 2 or 3 of those guys every year versus maybe 5 or 10, what's the upper limit? I think that's very much still to be determined, but you can already see the uptick for sure already. I think it just is a question of how big that uptick is. And I think for Houston, as much as the recruiting on the front end thing is going to be benefited by going to the Big 12, I think even more you're going to see Houston benefit in the transfer portal, just because, like we talked about, Houston's a city that every single other school is coming in to recruit to. You got all these guys that are flying off all over the country to play, and what happens to a lot of guys towards the end of their college careers, and they got 1 or 2 years of eligibility left. All of a sudden, they want to play a little bit closer to home. So that's something that we've seen in football. We've seen it in a number of sports, but bringing in guys that look like they're already ready to play at this level because they've already played at a high level, and suddenly they're they want to play in front of their family and friends for the last couple of years, and they want to do that in the Big 12. So I think we're going to see the recruiting uptick we already have. And I think we're going to see, Houston's activity in the transfer portal only increase. And I think it's, Houston should be one of the most aggressive schools in the country, I think, in terms of going after guys in the portal.
I kind of want to flip this over to basketball now. Obviously, we have a strong interest in basketball just because of, one, last year football was a little bit disappointing for us, and TJ Otzelberger has kind of revitalized the Iowa State basketball program. And
Burger ball.
Oh, yeah.
He
knows ball.
He already knows the taglines and everything.
Do you have the? Oh no, you have the Hots for Ots shirt on.
I do have the Hots for Ots shirt.
I got my Phi Slamma Jamma shirt on, so we're all representing.
Nice,
sick shirt.
There you go. It's a good shirt.
So it's kind of interesting because I think Kelvin Sampson, he coaches the no middles defense, correct? Is that something? Okay, so that's kind of like the TJ Otzelberger bread and butter here as of late. And I don't know what our team's going to look like this year because I think we're have a little bit more of a revitalized offensive paralysis going on, or hopefully, I can assume at this point. But what's we hope. So Sampson's 67 years old. I mean, how much figuratively does he have longer to coach, I guess, for Houston? And then also with that same token, is the expectation for Houston basketball to win the Big 12 this year?
I don't know if I would say the expectation is to win the Big 12. I think the expectation is to be competitive near the top of the Big 12, but I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed if Houston finishes second or third in the Big 12. I think we're pretty realistic about, hey, things have been going really great. 4 straight Sweet 16s is pretty awesome. But it's an insanely tough conference. And that's not only football where you got the high ceiling or the high floor. You also have that, but you also have just multiple the Baylors and the Kansases and all these other schools that are able to, compete at a really, really, top of the country level. So I think people are pretty realistic about that. And in terms of what Sampson is going to do, I think, I think we'll see him here for another 3 to 5 years would be my guess. He's essentially got a lifetime contract at this point. And I think he's excited about the new opportunity to get Houston up and running in the Big 12. And then Houston has it in the contract where one of his top assistants is his son, Kellen Sampson. And basically whenever, assuming Kellen is still here, which I expect he will be, whenever Kelvin does retire, then Kellen will take over as the head coach. And I mean, he's someone that's been here since, from the time that his dad got here, and he's done a really impressive job in terms of recruiting, in terms of he's, coached up the big men. And we've seen just a lot of big men make a lot of really big leaps and bounds, improvements year on year for the program. So, I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, I think everyone's gonna be a little bit sad when Kelvin goes. You never know fully how the new guy's going to do as the head man until he takes on that job, and certainly it'll be the first time that Kelvin will have been the head coach. But for Houston fans generally, I think it's we couldn't be more excited about the basketball. It's kind of funny because Houston 5-6 years ago now, I forget exactly how it was, basically completely renovated, hollowed out the basketball arena, and rebuilt it in the same spot, but it looks like a completely different building. And previously was Hoffein's Pavilion, had a capacity of about 8,000, and then they renovated it, and then they're because they're putting in some more suites and stuff like that, and it brought it down to I think it's 7,200, 7,400. I forget what exactly the capacity is. And at the time, it's yeah, sure, whatever, because we can't sell out a basketball game to save our lives. What does it matter? And then all of a sudden, it's oh man, we sold out every game last year playing in the American, and all of a sudden we're gonna be playing in the best basketball conference in the country. So just as someone who's always been a basketball fan first before anything else, and went to U of H when we were, a mid-tier team in Conference USA, seeing what's going on with this program is pretty, it's pretty mind-blowing. I keep joking as I feel like the version of myself that went to school at U of H is currently living a fever dream right now, and that is the only explanation for what's going on with our basketball program.
It's kind of funny that you have two of your two major programs, the football and basketball. Both head coaches have had this is their second run in the Big 12. Yeah. Obviously, Kelvin Sampson, I think he's 12 years at Oklahoma, I think, before going to Indiana. I think it was something like that. But, so it's been 18, 17 years since he's been in the Big 12. But it's funny how you guys have two head coaches that have experience in the Big 12. Obviously, for basketball, it's a whole different league now than what it was in late early 2000s when he left. But it's kind of funny how that's worked out.
As you can keep it going, even our baseball coach was never a head coach, Todd Whitting, in the Big 12, but he was a longtime assistant at TCU. So we've got, I think.
I'd like to say that I know about the coaching in the Big 12 baseball, but we don't have baseball.
I forgot I would say just a baseball team. I'm telling you.
It's kind of a sore subject. Thanks for bringing it up.
We have no effing idea.
What I meant to say was Kristen Vestley, our softball coach, is a legend player at Oklahoma. So
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
That's a Big 12
you
tie
have
for one
that.
more year.
If anybody watching, though, while we're still here chatting with Dustin, if anybody has any questions about anything Houston related, don't be afraid to toss those questions into the chat, and we will toss them up. So get those coming, people.
So let's say next season Iowa State's headed on the road down to Houston. Obviously, we are tailgating folk up here. What's our option? What's the tailgating scene look like down in Houston?
The tailgating scene is kind of a work in progress because I keep building stuff where some of the tailgating has been, and it's kind of a bit of a point of consternation among some of the fan bases to where you can and can't tailgate anymore. So I mean, it's there. There's certainly there's some diehard fans, and if you want to go meet some U of H fans tailgating and have a good time, you're definitely gonna be able to do that. I have hit the point now where I'm like late 30s, so I'm like, I'm a little old for that now. I just like to show up and watch the game and go home and watch more games on TV. So I'm not real active in the tailgating scene anymore. But I mean, for sure, there's all
Boo.
Yeah, boo. That's a humongous boo. Yeah.
I know, but no, I mean, there's lots of people out there. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are out there doing that. So I mean, you're definitely going to meet lots of people that I know Iowa State fans are legendary for their beer drinking capabilities. You'll find plenty of people with plenty of beer once you get here. And I mean, I think it's a fan base that you can walk around, and it's not a hostile fan base for the most part. I don't think. I think it's we're excited. We're going to be excited to be in the Big 12.
If they're already hostile towards Iowa State, I want to know why and where this beef came from, because I'm deeply interested in what happened. Because I can't think of the last time Iowa State played Houston in anything.
Yeah, I remember when Iowa State still had like Craig Brackens. We played y'all. I think y'all came down here at least once in basketball. Because I remember going to that game.
That might be the last time.
Yeah, that might be about it.
Aiden needs to be the stats guy here.
Yeah. So I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Craig Brackens played a game.
He's typing in Craig Brackens at Houston.
Craig Brackens basketball reference game log. But no, it is a school that it's been funny because you talk to U of H fans about the move to the Big 12, and they're kind of like, oh well, hopefully at least we'll be able to beat Iowa State. I'm like, hey, shut up! Iowa State is good, you guys. That's my family's school. I can't. I know that you want to talk down on them, but come on, guys, let's. No, I don't think. I think U of H is going to come in with some animus towards the Baylors and the Techs and the TCU.
Sure,
but I think they'll. I think if anything, it's going to just be that general broad chip on the shoulder about finally being back in a power conference again.
Chad with the comment of Matthias loves the Cougars. I do love the Cougars.
But which one, Houston or BYU?
Not BYU. We all know what the Cougars we're talking about here. Hell yeah! Hey, that's a good segue, though.
The thing I can tell you though is that the quickest way to start a beef with Iowa State is to be a complete innocent bystander when Iowa State gets screwed on a football call against you. Even if you're did absolutely nothing wrong yourselves, if we get screwed while we're playing you, we now hate that school, and that's just how it works.
That's fair. I'm a little bit worried about that because, like I kind of alluded to, I grew up watching Iowa State athletics, and if there's a bad call that hurts Iowa State against UH, I might reflexively get angry on y'all's behalf too. So it's going to be a weird situation for me personally.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. I'm sure Jamie Pollard will have something to say about it. He'll let me know if the call was bad enough that it deserves an eternal rivalry with Iowa State and Houston.
Yeah,
I did find the last time that Iowa State and Houston played basketball. So they did a home and home in 08, 09, and 2009, 2010. Okay. Iowa State won both matchups. First one, Craig Brackens had 38 and 14 in Houston.
Yeah.
And then when they came to Ames, Marquise Skillstrap scored 8 points in the second overtime, and Lucas Steiger buried 6 trays to aid Iowa State to an 82-75 double overtime thriller over Houston Sunday afternoon in Hilton Coliseum.
Shout out Lucas Steiger. That's a name right there.
Yeah, I was at the game when Craig Brackens destroyed us at Hofheinz, but I completely memory hold that we had actually taken y'all to overtime.
So what we're saying is we're 2-0 against Houston in basketball?
Yeah.
2 in our last 2. Yeah.
Two out of the last 2. Yeah.
I believe it's 3-3 all time.
Fuck.
For Iowa State's website.
It's 2-0.
Have we played each other in football?
Apparently, per Yeah, pertinent humor. He says we are 1-0 against Houston all time. So
That says 0-1.
well, Houston is 0-1 all time against ISU. So Iowa State is 1-0.
Yeah, he
Okay.
said we
Well,
are 1-0
so-
against Houston.
Just that's because that's how
Houston-
math works.
I don't know if he's talking basketball or football, but Houston's website for basketball just has one game on record, and it says that.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody vacate some wins around here.
Uh-oh.
I
I don't think we've ever been good enough to investigate for cheating. Oh,
No,
see,
no,
that was from Houston's website. Okay. Houston's got to get their math together.
Yeah, we never played him in football.
Oh, we never played in football. Interesting.
Yeah, so the Iowa State website does say 3-3.
Okay. I'm gonna. No offense to Houston right here. I think I'm gonna trust Iowa State on here because we definitely did play a home and home.
So you guys just described 2 actual games, so I feel like
I was
that
gonna
rules out the 0-1.
say so. Houston's already disqualified because 2 games happened. Oh man.
Gotta learn to count in the Big 12.
One thing that I keep seeing online from people from TCU and Baylor fans or whatever is everybody trying to figure out the food scene in Houston and what is signature to the food scene in Houston.
It's tough to pick a signature area in Houston.
What does Houston do well for food?
The number one option.
Yeah,
Gun
State
to your
fans
head
visiting,
right now.
Gun to your head.
Iowa State fans visiting. What cuisine are we enjoying in Houston?
I'm gonna say, there's just too much good Mexican food here not to try it. The original Ninfa's on Navigation is not far from the campus if you're coming down for a game. So that's my general number one shout out. It's some of the best Mexican food I've ever had, and I say as someone who's been to Iowa many, many times and loves Iowa very, very much. I've tasted the Mexican food up there, so you're gonna like it probably even better by comparison.
We don't claim to have the best Mexican food ever up here. We are a fair distance from the border.
That's the thing that's the thing that drives me nuts about people in Iowa describing Mexican. They're like, this is the best Mexican I ever had. I'm like, you have it. That's not even real Mexican food, people.
I'd say it's just
stop.
Yeah, that's just ground beef on a taco shell.
You have ground beef or shredded chicken with queso over the top of it. That's not Mexican food.
Yeah, it's not. No,
that's just
cheese.
That's just cheese and chicken.
Yeah, you're just eating a quesadilla with chicken in it. That's all it is. There's.
Yeah, but Houston is one of the most racially diverse cities in the country. So generally, come here, whatever kind of food you like, search for it. You're probably going to find something awesome because that's the reason I have a hard time picking. Not because Houston's not a great food town. Houston's an amazing food town. It's just everything is here. That's one of the things I love about it is you can just move anywhere in Houston and just I want Greek food, I want this, I want that. And it's just it's probably you probably find something within 15.
I'm a sucker for Greek food. I really like Greek food a lot. You can't find it in Iowa. It just doesn't exist or whatever. But I lived in Cincinnati for a while, and they have a few Greek places around there.
Wow, really Greek trashing on the gyro truck and names,
Greek food is fabulous. Well, you call it a gyro. That's why
it's a gyro. It's a gyro.
That's why they don't come here. You're the reason we don't have Greek food now.
At this point, it's on purpose, and I'm never going to change.
Isn't
Never change.
Oh man! So, have you've been to Ames before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually had. It was kind of funny. I'd never actually been other than 3 or 4 years ago. I want to say right before COVID, maybe. I went up for Iowa State men's basketball. Saw them beat the Longhorns up in Hilton. Was my first Iowa State home sporting event, and had a fantastic time.
Did you get a clone cone?
I did get a clone cone actually.
All right, what do you think?
I enjoyed it. It was fine. It wasn't the thing that I most remembered from the trip.
There's nobody that loves bagging on clone cones more than Matthias. Because
listen, all right, what is the point of a clone cone when you have red and yellow ice cream and there's no flavor? It's just vanilla ice cream. There is no.
I think we
nothing.
are all on board that clone cones should have a flavor for each
Yeah.
color. But in the end, it's still ice cream.
I know, but it's
the
just
floor for vanilla ice cream is outrageously high.
It's like you got right there. Just finish it. You're on top of the fence. Just jump over. You were there. You were there. Finish the job. Come on. It's one thing.
Putting red and yellow food coloring into something is a lot easier than adding strawberry and whatever flavor in like lemon or something like that, like strawberry and lemon flavor into ice cream. That's a lot harder than just putting a couple drops of red and yellow food.
When
coloring
I
in.
die, on my tombstone it is going to say, "Just get the flavored ice cream." God,
And you know what I'm
damn
going
it.
to do is I'm going to put a plain ass clone cone on there and watch it melt all over your headstone. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be red and gold. And
Well,
it still
I'm going to
tastes
take
like
your
vanilla.
mom out for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again. Then we'll see who the real winner is. It's going to be me.
She doesn't even like seafood.
Well,
I don't know.
we'll take her wherever she wants to go. Maybe we'll go and have some fake Mexican food.
I don't.
Or some gyros.
Or,
Or some
well,
gyros.
the best place to go would probably be Bluff Lake. She's a big fan of the tartar sauce down there.
Ah, she's a tartar gal,
What? What is a tartar gal?
You have to ask. You can't afford it.
That's nothing. Aiden,
Anyways,
Yeah.
flavored ice
We have an actual
we
good
have an
question
actual
here.
question.
Football attendance for Houston expected to increase. Google says last time 30,000 people in attendance was 2018.
God, I hope so, man. It's been kind of rough. I mean, and it's frustrating as a fan because you'd like more people to care, especially it's a school like U of H that's not exactly hurting for. I think we're going to be like the second or third biggest enrollment in the Big 12 when we get there. I mean, it's 40,000+. Just we got tons of alumni around the city, so I mean, it's frustrating. It's also, I do understand some of the drawbacks there that you're, like I said, you're playing against teams that just no one gives a shit about. So it's just hard to get people excited for Tulane and whoever, South Florida, to come in and play us. But I mean, yeah, I think it's expected to increase. The number of season tickets that U of H just sold is like 20, 25. I forget exactly where we were, but just huge number compared to what we're used to. And, I think we'll see the increase there. We'll see the increase of people caring more. And, I mean, not to be like doom and gloom, but if nothing else, even if the team is terrible, we know that I think every other school has a large alumni base in Houston. So if nothing else, the away fans alone will drive our attendance up in the coming season. But
Well, that's something.
That's a silver lining if I've ever heard one.
U of H for its own part, I'm sure we'll do plenty in that as well. It's like I said, you've seen just this huge increase in season tickets, and it's going to be I think a real game changer. Playing games that people care about again, and games that, like I said, you're in a city where you have millions of people, but you also have millions of entertainment options. And I think U of H versus Texas Tech, Iowa State, whoever it is.
Yeah, schools in pro
crosswise.
sports towns can have issues with that
Yeah.
just because there's just a lot of other stuff to do. Yeah. Here's a very valid question from Wider Analytic contributor Austin Keeney. Dustin, are you willing to be held personally responsible for Dana Holgerson calling our fans unprofessional after we beat his ass in 2018 when he was at West Virginia and we stormed the field?
I mean, I was not aware that happened. This is the first time hearing of it. But
So we
was
stormed
it?
the
Yes.
field. They were ranked like
Sixth
sixth in the country or something
I
like
think it was
that.
like 4, wasn't it?
Six.
Or is it 6?
And-
6? Okay.
It was not a close game. We still stormed the field after,
Because we beat their ass.
and
It was awesome.
no, so I was in the student section for that game. I think it was my junior year of high school, and the security guards told us, "Don't touch anyone." We're like, "All right, we're not gonna touch anyone." If you watch the video, no one touches anyone.
anybody.
We run right by all the West Virginia players, and then big bad Dana Holgerson comes in and says that we're unprofessional fans for doing that, and that his players could have gotten hurt and all this. And I'm a Dana Holgerson guy, so I'm not gonna hate on him too much, but
And that's why they moved
Iowa
the
native
student
Dana
section.
Holgerson.
it's true.
I can't speak on his behalf, but I mean, unprofessional is kind of a weird. Like, fans aren't. It's not your profession to be a fan. I don't think. Like, and you're watching amateur sports theoretically, at least. So it's kind of a weird word to use. But no, I mean, storming the field rules. So I mean, that's.
You're
Dustin's
damn
making a lot of sense right now.
Storming the field does rule.
I remember.
I do it every game if it was socially
Dustin
acceptable.
knows ball. I would storm the field versus who do we got first? Oh, I guess it's you and I. I'd storm the field versus you and I. no problem.
Honestly, he was probably just mad he had to play his college career at Iowa Wesleyan instead of Iowa State.
Hey,
You know-
he was there for the air raid offense.
It's
was
really
there for
funny.
the
We had him on. We
Iowa
asked him about that, and he was just like, because Iowa Wesleyan just closed, of course.
Yep.
And,
Mhm.
we
Yeah, it
asked him
doesn't
about
exist
it.
anymore. Yeah.
We gave him like a softball. Like, hey man, you sad to see Iowa Wesleyan leave? And he was like, well, they fired Hal Mummy, who I loved, and then like my brother was coach there for a year, and then they fired him. So they fired the only two people I ever cared about. So when they came asking for money, I told them to like vent or whatever. So I was like, all right, well, we're not too sad about Iowa Wesleyan closing. Noted. Next question.
Talked to Holman just the other day.
Yeah.
Aiden's on first name terms with Hal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did he have any good stories?
Speaking of Hal Mummy and things that Hal Mummy has done, Houston Roughnecks is like, do people get excited about that in Houston? Are you like, do you pay attention to Houston Roughnecks in the XFL? Like, what's the scoop there? Like, I feel like it's there, but it's
Were you
not
aware that
there.
they existed before
Yes.
this question?
I was aware that they exist before this question, largely because they brought in former University of Houston head football coach Kevin Sumlin to be the head coach there, which had some people kind of
I did not know he was the coach there.
cracking their head sideways after he, of course, left us for A&M. So I mean that's I don't know. Like, again, not everyone that lives in Houston went to U of H. It's it's a small fraction generally compared to the number of people that are here. So I don't. It wasn't a way to endear yourself to U of H fans though, to hire a guy that we don't have a lot of, and they're playing their home games on our campus. So it's like, I don't know. That wasn't a great way to win over a bunch of U of H fans. So I haven't heard much of anyone talking about Houston Roughnecks, but that might be because I know a bunch of U of H people that are still mad at.
There is not quite. There's not much of a buzz about the Roughnecks at this point in time.
Doesn't seem like it.
No buzz. Noted. XFL down bad.
I don't know. I'm not a believer that the XFL. I mean, like, it's going to stick around for maybe a couple more years, but I still just don't see the long-term legs for that league. I don't know.
We have like 30 million spring leagues now because the Arena Football League is now coming back for the third time.
Yep, and it's parking a franchise up there in Waterloo.
No,
Waterloo Woo!
The Waterloo Woos.
Is that
Maybe
legitimately
maybe the worst team name I've ever heard?
Wow.
Yeah, hold on, I'll pull it up.
Oh, that's real. Yeah, they're called the Waterloo Woos.
No. Is that part of the actual Arena Football
Yes,
League?
that's part of the actual Arena Football League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arena football.
It's part of the Arena Football League. It's called the Waterloo Woos.
Wow.
Do you guys know what it's based off of?
They deserve to lose every game for that name alone.
I didn't know they actually had one in Waterloo for that. Let's look here.
Awful.
I need to announce 16.
It's not even the Woos. It's the Woo.
The Woo.
It's not- it's
Well,
not
it's
even-
supposed to be like
not
Ric
even-
Flair.
Cardinal.
It's not even more than one Woos.
Well, Ric Flair didn't say woos.
Right, but wow. Okay, there's. I guess, but like, what connection does Ric Flair have to Waterloo?
So they're trying to tie in Iowa as a big wrestling state.
It's a different kind of wrestling
And-
entirely.
Yeah.
But-
But I mean, the Dan Gable Museum in Waterloo has stuff about professional wrestling. So I guess that's the
They should just call themselves the Dans.
tie-in.
Okay, so the actual Arena Football League, the one that used to be around forever, is not going to feature Waterloo. It is Austin, Boise, somewhere in California. They don't know yet. Chicago, Colorado, somewhere in Colorado, Minnesota, Louisiana, Ohio, Orlando, Oregon, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Tallahassee, Tennessee, Washington, and West Texas.
If you ask
So
enough Texas
what
Tech people, they
league-
tell you everything's West Texas.
This is the actual AFL.
Okay. So that's the Arena Football League. This is the Arena League.
The Arena League. Oh,
Oh my
demonstrably
God.
different than the Arena Football League.
Yes. The website I found, it says the Arena League has already landed teams in Springfield, Missouri, and Duluth, Minnesota.
What
Wow.
are we
So-
doing?
Once you got Springfield and Duluth, you're good.
I
to
mean,
go.
Exactly,
Duluth is really the
yeah.
one. That's the one that sets you over the top as a clear professional league.
Yeah, I was watching the Arena Football League last night. Oh, yeah. Did you catch the Waterloo game? No, I was watching the other Arena League.
Did you catch the Waterloo game? No, I was doing literally anything else.
Yeah.
I was watching. Did you catch the Waterloo Duluth game last night?
Water cooler talk
Horrendous.
here.
Awful. Can't even imagine. Yeah. I'm
They'll
trying to
probably
Good
be
question
on
from
before
Nathan
they'll
here.
probably be
Yeah.
on before the Pac-12 games on the fucking
That's
gas
true.
pumps at
That's
Quick
true.
Start.
Yeah, the Pac-12 games will follow a
Follow
Waterloo
the
Duluth.
Arena League.
Yeah, the Arena League. Don't not
So,
get-
Big 12
Case
like-
Keenum. There you
Big
go.
12 legend Case Keenum now.
There you go.
Do we get all of his records?
I mean, that's a tough question, right? Because I think if you say yes, you get Case Keenum's records, and you lose all of like the natties that
We lose everything.
UT Austin had for the conference too. So I don't know. I mean, you
To
can.
be fair, we never really wanted to claim Texas in the first place.
That's fair. That's,
See, my strategy with all of this is claiming every good thing about the Big 12 to be like, that's a Big 12 thing. Like, Case Keenum, Big 12 legend.
Big 12 legend case.
But
Absolutely.
and Texas, we're like Colt McCoy will be a Big 12 legend forever. You know,
Yeah.
he'll never be an SEC legend. It's like I claim
Right,
both
right.
just to cover all my bases there. And then if Texas does anything bad, it's like that was SEC. Who cares?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, obviously.
So when they lose
To
6
answer the
games
previous
this year.
question, if y'all are coming down to tailgate with U of H people, just let them know that you also hate UT, and that will go over extremely well.
Okay, cool. That's an easy thing to.
I
Easy
usually
common
do.
ground.
Whenever I get on the Texas podcast, I always wear my Beat Texas t-shirt.
Nice.
And then the last S in Texas is a $, which is funny because it was actually an official university. They sold it at the bookstore even with the logo on it and everything. That said like the Beat Texas with the $. It's like that's surprisingly gutsy from the Iowa State athletic department, considering what they like how far off the how gutsy they'll get or don't ever get with anything like that.
Man, I have to say, I've been loving the Big 12. Speaking of the Longhorns, their scheduling philosophy, because let's see, so far we've had schedule announced for football. We got a home game with the Longhorns. Soccer, got a home game with the Longhorns. Volleyball, you either play 1 or 2 matches, and then you either get home. We got 2 home matches with the Longhorns. Literally every sport that's had a schedule come out, we've got nothing but home matches with the Longhorns so far. So I very much appreciate the Big 12's dedication to sending them here because they do not want to play us. So sending them here every single sport. Thank you.
Same thing here because they're coming up here in November, which Texas famously hates coming up to Ames in the middle of November. So
yeah, I love that the
glad that we
scheduling
did
people
that.
just seem to be kind of digging in with the last possible year. Just
Well, it
beautiful.
seemed like that at media days too. That everyone's like, yeah, they're also here. Like they were like Yarmark was all but pushing them out of the conference at media days. They're like, get the fuck out of here. Just I don't know. It's funny because the whole conference of the new Big 12 has felt like that's the Big 12 for about a year now. Right, like just because the new 4 came in and they were just part of it right away.
Yeah.
And everybody embraced everybody else, and it's just like Texas and Oklahoma might as well have been independents the last year since that, because that's just how it's felt. Like they're in the Big 12, but nobody they don't feel like they're in the Big 12 anymore.
They don't even get votes on stuff anymore.
No, they don't.
Right?
No,
that started pretty much as soon as they announced they were leaving.
Yeah, they're done voting. Yeah, but it just feels like those new 4 have been. It feels like they've been in the Big 12 longer than they have, and they feel more signature to the Big 12 now than Texas and Oklahoma do. Partially because I don't know, Texas and Oklahoma have both gone to such great lengths, especially the schools and the fan bases have gone such great lengths to try to stiff arm the rest of the conference and really turn their nose up to everybody else in the rest of the conference, and for so long that they've been actively distancing themselves from everybody anyways, and then now we're like, okay, you can go away now.
So, bonus points
if we
for
dislike SMU.
Yes. Now, loathe SMU. Of all the schools that we're leaving behind, oh man, they are right at the top of the list of schools that I just want to flip the bird on the way out the door and be like, hope we never schedule you in anything again. Just like the absolute worst, just everything, every cliche about just a spoiled rich daddy's money school that you could ever imagine is every interaction I've ever had with SMU fans. They are walking across campus to see us play them in football one year, got accosted by some bro. Hey, brah, how come you guys suck at lax, brah? And I'm like, we don't have a lacrosse team. Club lax, brah. Get better at lax, brah. I'm like, this is a cliche. This is a walking cliche. The absolute worst school. They have no one gives a shit about that school. They have 5 donors that are billionaires that keep funneling the money, and so everyone's like, oh, maybe the Pac-12 is going to add SMU and really get into that Dallas market. And I mean, and again, and I say this as someone acknowledging that U of H controls maybe 5 to 10% of the U of H of the city of Houston sports interest. Nobody in DFW gives a shit about SMU just at all. Just so yeah, if you hate SMU, tell everyone that you hate SMU and UT, and you will do well with the U of H fans. We'll get along splendidly.
And the best part is you get to sit here on the outside and watch SMU go to the Pac-12 that's not going to exist in 2 years or whatever, and just give them the double bird as you watch them go down in flames straight into the Mountain West.
Nothing would make me happier in the world if the day after SMU accepts the Pac-12 invitation, the Big 12 poaches Colorado and Arizona and whoever else in that conference just crumbles. Right. And then SMU gets to experience with the Pac-12 what we did with the Big East and just watch the conference crumble before they get there. And then the American doesn't want them back, and they've got I would.
And they have to go down to D2.
My soul would leave my body.
Darn it. We're just going to have to see SMU in the Southland Conference, and it is what it is.
The new WAC. They're bringing back the WAC, right?
Yeah. They're going to be in the Sun Belt.
We asked Go Beercats about the four schools coming in. So obviously the 3 excluding yourself, but out of those 3, who do you hate the most? Who do you like the most?
Oh man,
I can't wait for everybody to have the same answer.
Yeah, this is a test. They might even have the same answer themselves.
Yeah.
That is tough. I don't know. I kind of reflexively want to say that I hate BYU the most just because it's so easy to hate BYU. But I mean, also we haven't really played them that much and stuff, whereas we have a lot more history with Cincinnati and UCF. So,
do you hate UCF?
I don't hate UCF. I think as much as a lot of U of H fans maybe do, just because I'm still 100% on pro team UCF claiming that national championship. I mean, as someone who even as a member of the Big 12 will still have some like anti-power conference bias for my years as a U of H fan. The fact that they ran with it as much as they did, paid out the bonuses to their coaches and the whole nine, 100%. If U of H had been in the same situation, 100% they should have done the same thing. So just as throwing sand in the eye of the power conference of the SEC and the Big 10 and everybody, I love that move. So I can't hate UCF as much as everybody else does.
I got to apologize really quick because I've been pronouncing this wrong. It's not UCF. It's Central
the
Florida.
University of the Middle of Florida.
Oh yeah. Well,
Directional Florida.
Yeah, Florida Central.
I'm gonna call them UCF. They could just have to deal with it. So I think I'm still gonna.
No, they want to be called UCF.
Oh, they do. Is that the whole thing?
Yeah. You got to call them anything besides that.
Hilton Night Managers.
Yeah.
I know one time we had a UCF and a USF guy in at the same time, and we mentioned that we had the directional Floridas on, and they did not like that.
If we have them on, we're gonna call them South Florida.
Oh yeah, no.
At least once someone needs to accidentally call them USF.
I will.
Just once.
I will do that on accident, even if I let alone.
Yeah, we just here's Iowa State fans. We'd like to know the tailgating scene down in Tampa.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I guess I have to answer. I guess I think I'll still come around and say I hate UCF the most, just because I don't. They're like a Twitter fan base. There's some UCF people we really like, but as a group, they are pretty insufferable on Twitter. So I think I'll say that I hate UCF the most, and I guess I like Cincinnati the best, just because I don't know. I kind of see. I mean, I see similarities between U of H and both of those schools, but I think we see some kind of kindred spirits at Cincinnati somewhat, and that was. When we were coming up in basketball, man, they were the real standard bearer in the American for a while in basketball there. And talk about rushing the field. The first year that U of H actually made the tournament under Kelvin Sampson, we kind of knew we were probably going to be in. And then Cincinnati was top 15 or 20 at the time, whatever it was. They came to, I say our building, and that was when our arena was under construction. We were playing across town at Texas Southern's building. But we just kind of knew going in, it's like, okay, if we beat them, it's top 25. It'd be the first top 25 win in like way too long. And we just knew it was going to clinch. For sure, 100% we were going to get in if we got that win, and we won that game, and we all rushed the court, and it was spectacular. So, just for being there for us and allowing us to beat them and get that moment that I will remember for the rest of my life, I guess I'll go with Cincinnati for my the school that I like the best. But I don't know. There's not a huge difference between the school I like the most and the best among the other 3 newcomers.
Is there one place in the new Big 12 that you really want to visit?
I guess I want to see a game at Jack Trice. That'll be my first answer because the next one is probably going to be less fun. And I say this as someone that has been cheering for Iowa State since I've been cheering for college sports and loathes Kansas men's basketball. But man, Allen Fieldhouse is going to be. I want to see us play there so bad. And I don't know. That's the thing with the Big 12 is you don't really go for destination cities, I guess, so much. It's not like the American. It's always like, oh, I'm excited to see us play Tulane. Why? Because it's in fucking New Orleans, which is amazing. There's fewer really like destination cities, I think, in the Big 12.
It's more like destination arenas and
exactly
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, no, very, very excited to go see U of H play in basically every basketball arena in the conference because they're basically all awesome and historic and all that in the whole 9 yards. But I think just broadly speaking, just very excited to drain my bank account doing the tour of the Big 12 basketball facilities over the next few years.
There you go. Well, if you ask Fran Fraschilla, he's got Fog Allen Fieldhouse and Hilton Coliseum on his 1A and 1B for best arenas in college basketball. So
my first answer would have been Hilton, but I've already seen a game there, so that's I checked that one off the bucket list already.
Yeah, that's fair. And
I don't know. It'd be hard. I don't know if I can go, and I don't know if I want to go to Hilton or Jack Trice, and while U of H is playing there, because I would feel.
So I was just gonna say
so
that. So our good buddy Philip Slavin, he's an Oklahoma State guy. Wherever he said he wants to come up to Jack Trice, but he doesn't want to do it when Oklahoma State's playing here because he wants to be able to like cheer for Iowa State and be part of the Iowa State thing while he's at Jack Trice. And I was like, you know what, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like
That's how I am with most like historic arenas. Like I want to go when Iowa State's not playing
there, yeah, because
so I
be way too
don't have to worry
invested
about getting
exactly
murdered.
Yeah, like it would be fun, like if it was ever happening again, it would be fun to go to Oklahoma State for Bedlam or something like that and watch it there. Like if Iowa State is going there, I might like go to the game as an Iowa State fan. But if I was gonna like go to try to experience Boone Pickens Stadium, I would go for Bedlam or for when they're playing Texas or something like that. Like go for a big game or something. You know.
I will say I saw a game at T. Boone Pickens, and it was when Oklahoma State was number 5 in the country, having just beaten Georgia in the season opener. And Big 12 legend Case Keenum went up there, and we beat those guys. So that was pretty fantastic. Wouldn't trade that experience for any OSU home experience, I got to say. So there's something to be said for going and being one of the 1 to 2% of the crowd that is cheering for the visiting team, especially when you win. That one's an awful lot of fun.
Yeah.
I got a question about this.
Yeah, what's going on there?
That's our school hand sign.
So
the Cougar Paw.
do people ever do that?
What's that? No. So I mean, it's Arizona State. Arizona State's like they do. They have their fingers more together. Our index and middle finger is more spread out, which I think makes it unique from the thing that you guys are
Arizona's
saying.
got something. Got
Arizona State. There's like it's like the pitchfork or some shit. You'll see them every once in a while. You'll see Arizona State people doing
better than the stupid. I'm not doing the goddamn gift thing again that goes around all the time in
like
the Discord.
Well, TCU does something. No, TCU does this.
TCU does this.
TCU's is cool. I like TCU's is good.
Yeah.
Basically every
Get the cats, the
has
Kansas State cats.
Oh, Kansas State's is dumb.
No, I'm not doing the GIF there, Brownie.
So my question is, do people ever do it upside down? And is that going to get penalized?
Cougar
Big
I
12.
would imagine so. I don't think we have enough pull the way that the Longhorns.
I heard that the SEC is bringing that back.
Are they
You're
doing
going to
it?
say
Yeah,
it's allowed. It's allowed.
Loud.
It should have been. I mean, it should have been the whole time. Yeah.
Joke that it ever was. No, we've seen Memphis and SMU and some opposing fans or players would ever do this or whatever. So, good for them, I guess. But there's a lot of peer pressure happening in the comments.
I am not
do the GIF.
doing.
We'll send you the GIF after that. The Matthias. He like the funny thing is he like dove into it head first. He's like, you know what, this is gonna end up as a GIF on the internet, but I'm gonna do it anyways, and it did, and it's really funny.
See, basically, they got the Kansas. I'm not gonna do it, but I'll just here we go. Kansas State, this stupid signal that they do. Well, they're walking around the stadium like using it, making it look like they're giving a blow job, like at the same time with this thing, and they thought it was normal.
They thought it was normal.
I'm like, do you guys realize how stupid you look right now? Like you're.
You might have to demonstrate for him.
No.
All right.
It's provocative. It gets the people going.
Gets the people going.
How do we ban
No one knows what it means.
How do we ban people out of a chat? There's like 2 in here that I need to get rid of.
Do we got any more? We should play games this week. I've got stuff ready for mine.
All right, I don't. So we'll play
That's
your
all right.
game.
That's all right. Do we got any more questions for Dustin about Houston?
Hey, do you have any questions about Iowa State?
Yeah.
You know some things,
he's like
but
basically an Iowa State fan as it is. So he already knows the answers.
I say Iowa State is my original school of college sports fandom because I've been cheering for them my whole life since that's where my parents met. I owe my existence to Iowa State University. My parents met there, so
hell yeah.
So go Clones! But and then ever since about whenever I went to U of H, I was okay. Iowa State's the 1A.
There you go. I respect that. Who would you like to most form a rivalry with? Like who do you want to start hating?
I mean, I already hate Baylor the most. That's
definitely
if that helps. Already, I mean, it would be the Longhorns because everybody hates the Longhorns, but they're not going to be here for long enough for us to. We just got to kind of hopefully flick them in the air on the
besides Baylor and Texas, who do you want to start hating?
So outside of the state of Texas,
correct?
Let's go.
Yeah. Someone outside the state of Texas.
Say outside the state of Texas, man. I want to start hating Kansas just because I mean, I think everyone kind of hates their basketball program, men's basketball especially, and I'm a little annoyed with the fact that we haven't been able to beat them in football. So that's kind of annoying, and just as someone that I've been hating them for a while anyway as an Iowa State fan. So I'm ready to start hating them as a Cougar fan, which is a separate kind of hate as just hating them.
Extremely hateable fan base. Also rival large feline Kansas State. Could definitely recommend them. Very hateable fan base.
Yeah, I know the Farmageddon is a big deal there, so that's I'm all on board with hating the entire state of Kansas. I mean, I kind of like we had Wichita in the conference for non-football sports already, so another really fun road fan experience I did. Went up and was one of like 3 U of H fans in Coke Arena as we beat them in basketball, which is pretty great too. So I'm already kind of annoyed with the state of Kansas with Wichita, so not out of my way to just turn that into some Kansas and K-State hate.
Corns are just better than wheat. That's just what it is. That's just how it rolls. Just how the world goes round. So, all right. I don't know if I see anything else from the chat. I don't know. How is the Houston women's basketball program?
Houston's women's basketball is struggling as of late.
Great.
Yeah, it's not been great, and it's one of the sports where I think it's been most dramatic. Our AD actually just gave some really revealing comments recently. He was talking about how he's basically like, hey, we've been funding the hell out of essentially we've been funding the hell out of football and men's basketball at the expense of every other sport to try to get this So, I mean, I saw something come out. I don't know what the most current numbers are, but I know it was like 2 seasons ago. Houston was like 8th or 9th in the American operating budget for women's basketball. So, I mean, they just have not been really funding a lot of money towards that program. So it's been but it was a whole thing. We actually talked about it a bunch because current coach, his name was Ron Huey, was a real good assistant for like Florida State before he came here, and then took over the program, and it was in a real bad spot, winning like a handful of games a year and got them respectable, but just has not been able to get over the hump. And so this year, or last year, I should say, we were like the last team out of making the tournament, closest we've ever been, because we haven't made the tournament under him. And then this year it was like, okay, well, we were 1 team away. So when this year we weren't even like close, we just kind of fell off. And so this was year 9, 0 NCAA tournament appearances in 9 seasons. And I know, and again, everything that you could like mitigate that with, like, oh, he took over the program and it was a dump. He got them respectable. He is like the absolute nicest, most professional, best face for the university you could possibly ever hope for. Everybody loves him, but man, holy shit, how do you give someone year 10 when they haven't made the tournament yet in any sport? I don't know. It was a little bit baffling to me. And again, like I said, the budget's not there. And I think, I'd like to see him be able to, use that larger budget and increase the floor and the ceiling of this program. But women's basketball, in a word, has been underwhelming and a couple words, underwhelming and disappointing for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can ready move on to, I guess, the only game we're playing tonight. But because Aiden is an actual child, he was born in 2001, which means he does not know a damn thing about the 90s. So,
yeah,
let's play Aiden versus the 90s. All righty. Welcome, everybody, to Aiden versus the 90s. This is the game show. So, basically, we're going to ask a question about the 90s. Aiden and Dustin, you'll both have a chance. First one to buzz in will get the point. There'll be 3 total questions.
I have to buzz in now? I thought I always got first dibs.
Is that how it works?
This is America. Everybody has equal opportunities.
Yeah, we're an equal opportunity game show here.
Your buzzer is either go.
Yeah, you got to make the most like a loud, obnoxious buzzer sound you can think of. All right. First question. In the 1998 NBA draft, which team drafted Vince Carter and who was traded for him?
Shut up, bitch!
I don't know what's playing.
The problem is you've given yourself a soundboard, which is far too much power for you. So
was that the Bears one?
No, that was the shut up, bitch.
Oh, wrong button.
You get All right, you got 3 seconds. All right, Aiden, what's your guess?
I have no idea.
Dustin?
I want to say maybe like the Grizzlies drafted him and traded him to the Raptors, but I cannot remember for the life of me who they traded for him or if that was even actually correct.
You are both. Is this the incorrect? Hey, that was the right button. Look at that. You're both not correct. Matthias, who is it?
I don't know who he was drafted or traded for, but wasn't he drafted to Golden State?
He was drafted by Golden State. Good
But I don't know.
job.
I don't know who he was traded for, so don't.
He was
even.
traded for Antoine Jameson.
Huh.
All right.
Interesting.
Next up. Okay. How many Gold Gloves did Greg Maddux win?
Oh my God.
In his 22-year career, he has more Gold Gloves than any other pitcher in baseball history. How many Gold Gloves did Greg Maddux win?
Say 12.
You're saying 12?
12.
We'll give the point to whoever's closer here between Dustin and Aiden. So you're saying 12. Aiden, what do you got?
I'm going to say 14.
Aiden's going to get the point here because Greg Maddux won an astounding 18 Gold Gloves in 22 years.
I was gonna say 17. Damn,
You would have still been wrong, you idiot.
it's closer.
Okay.
Somebody's closer.
Third question here. This Major League Baseball Hall of Famer is one of the greatest hitters in Major League Baseball history. When he was in college, he was also a point guard for the basketball team. And in his
He said,
It said,
Fine. Okay, I was gonna finish the question. What's your answer?
Tony Gwynn.
It is Tony Gwynn. Where was I going with that? Do you know the
San
question?
Diego State. He has the most assists in school history, I believe, at San Diego State.
Specifically, more interesting than that, even that Tony Gwynn amassed more assists in his college basketball career than he did strikeouts in his Major League Baseball career.
That's one of my favorite stats of all time.
That is probably
Yes.
my favorite stat in history.
So
That
that
Tony
was
Gwynn
like
had more assists as a point guard than strikeouts as a baseball player, despite actually playing baseball as a profession.
that was like the most like little known thing that he actually played basketball. But like when they made the Final Four, it was like all over social media. Everyone was like, we had no idea. It's like literally one of the best baseball players of all time.
Does anybody know where he went to college?
San Diego State. I just said it.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I thought we already covered that.
Oh, I didn't.
I think Dustin said it originally.
I didn't hear that. So I guess it technically was 1-1 and a half points. So nobody wins. Congratulations to everybody for playing.
We don't get a
Games versus the
tiebreaker?
90s. Oh, do you want a tiebreaker?
Shut up,
Okay.
bitch!
All right. I'm going to find a good one. I'll get you a good tiebreaker. We're going to do, what category do we want? Do we want sports or do we want pop culture or do we want history?
I'll let the guest decide.
Yeah, Dustin, you get a pick. Sports, pop culture, or history?
Is this still gonna be a '90s question? Let's go.
It's going to be a 90s question.
All right, let's go pop culture.
We're going to pop culture. Okay, let's see here. Let me find a good pop culture question. Well, I don't know if that one. I have one in my head, but it might be too. It might be like too obscure.
Be new to the NFL.
All right. Yeah. So the NFL literally has ties.
Yeah. Idiot.
Okay. In the late 90s, when the Pokemon craze happened,
Oh boy.
what were the first two games that were released and on which console?
You've asked this question before.
Have I?
Yeah.
No, I
But-
didn't.
Yeah.
So the first two Pokemon video games released in the United States, and on which console? Aiden, you look like you were an answer.
You want me to answer?
Do you know it?
No.
Dustin?
No, I just I do not. I have never even remotely cared about Pokemon. This is not.
Red and
Yeah,
yellow
me
on
neither.
Game Boy. I had it.
No, wrong.
Yes, it was.
It's
No.
Pokemon 1 and Pokemon 2 Return of the Pokemon on Game Boy.
Nope. You guys all suck. The first two were red and blue, not red and yellow. Yellow was the third one. Pokemon Red
Yeah.
and Pokemon Blue both
Dummy.
came out on Game Boy.
Okay, so I
So
said
congratulations,
red.
that
I
broke
said
the ze-
red on
That broke
Game
0
Boy. So I
ties. The problem
got.
is you already had a half a point, and you just got a half a point. So all you did was made a 2-way tie, a 3-way.
Let's
tie.
go. Let's go.
Run it back.
All right. Let's see. This is the most bullshit game show I've ever seen. All right, we're just gonna find a random one
we
here.
go until there is a winner.
It's just a garbage one here.
It's like penalty kicks in the World Cup right now.
Oh, let's see. Okay, I may have I've definitely asked that before. Let's not do that one. Let's say this is tough. Okay, this might be no, that one's too easy. Sorry. I was gonna ask who would Brett Favre's first completed pass to was in the NFL.
Himself.
It was himself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You just asked the question. I got it right.
Yeah.
All right. One of the longest running Cartoon Network series ran from 1999 to 2009 and featured 3 boys with the same name and their adventures.
Ed, Nettie.
Nailed it.
Ed, Nettie.
Holy shit, that was the most like profound win in the series in the history
Well,
of
you know,
versus
you
90s.
asked a question that was primarily in the 2000s, so you advanced.
Yeah, but you should know Ed, Nettie.
Yeah.
Well,
It was 1999. Complain more.
fine.
Okay,
red
congratulations
and Game
to
Boy
Aiden.
apparently counts. So fuck, you get a good
Aiden
question
for
in the
winning, Aiden versus the
2000s.
90. Dustin and Matthias, you both suck. All right, that was Aiden versus the 90s. All right,
Podcast is bullshit.
I know it is. Do we've got anything else left? Or are we ready to wrap this episode up?
Dustin, you want to tell us where you can find your podcast?
Yeah, plug your stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Scott and Holman Podcast. You can see it spelled there on the screen. Scott and Holman, Pawdcast. Wherever you get podcasts, whatever app you choose, we should be on there. We're pretty much everywhere. I think at this point we're about to do season 9 of the podcast. So I think we've had enough time to hopefully find all the podcast
Season
apps.
vets.
So looking forward to it. And then we are, as long as that website still exists, we are still degenerate Twitter users. So at SH Podcast, and of course the same PAWDCAST. Encourage our degeneracy, and until the Blue Sky invite comes through, we are still on Twitter. So
There you go. And we found out that Dustin is also kind of an Iowa State fan too, so that's great.
So
All the more
you guys
reason.
legitimately going to run over to Blue Sky? Is that the
Is that the game plan?
I don't know, man. I mean, we've been on Twitter so long. I'd kind of like to keep it going there, but it seems less and less.
And that's where
interesting
we're at too, because
discussing
we like started a Threads thing, but
And nobody cares about Threads anymore.
Nobody cares about Threads. Like that was cool for like 4 hours.
I want to talk to a bunch of Instagram users. Are you kidding?
Right.
It's
And
the
then
last menu.
it'd be cool at Blue Sky, but like also that's like exclusive still. And
I'm a follower of their Twitter account now.
I mean, it's just like how I don't want to rebuild our Twitter following. We're pushing 35,000 followers. I'm not trying to rebuild that on Blue Sky. I don't know. It's just too much to rebuild. Damn it. I wish Twitter would get their shit together. That's really just kind of where I'm at with it.
It's, you know what? Everybody complains about Twitter, but I feel like my experience on Twitter has never changed. One
That's
bit.
because your tweets are just always bad, and it just doesn't matter.
Well,
how
that's
bad Twitter
fine,
is.
but like everybody's bad at Twitter and they're bitching about it.
Yeah,
So
well, there are a lot of people that are not nearly as good at Twitter as they think they are. But all right, well, let's wrap up this week. Aiden, you can sign us off.
All right. For Dustin Renzik, Levi Stevenson, Matthias Schwarzkopf, I'm Aiden Wyatt. Go Cyclones.